Hi, I'm Ella, back for BoardGameGeek, and I'm here with Kim and Hunter, and we're going to be making ugly sweaters this Christmas, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
And I saw that this was first self-published, and now you're called Hen House Games. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, I mean, we were just going to self-publish, but we decided, I mean, when we were going to run the Kickstarter ourselves, that I mean, I'm a stay-at-home dad, and
Awesome.
you know, why not just make a little indie publishing company? So we decided to go a little bit further with
As
it,
one
and we have
does.
other games we're cooking up, so make this more
Mm,
than a one-time thing.
right, right. Will it be Christmas theme also, or something different?
No, no, very deep in the nostalgia factor still though,
Oh,
but not a holiday
Yeah.
thing. Uh, Maybe we could tease it later. I don't know, now or later. Did you want us to talk about maybe
I'll
after?
ask at the end. Yeah. And why did you come up with like ugly Christmas sweaters? What was the inspiration for that?
Yeah, so I mean, I love trick-taking games. I've played them my whole life, and that's sort of when I was deciding to design my first game. I really wanted to go with something that I knew. So I wanted
Mm,
it to be a trick-taking game for sure, but I wanted it to not just be that, and it's equal parts trick-taking, drafting, and tableau building slash set collection.
collection, yeah.
And then I wanted something that was nostalgic for me because trick-taking games are that, and so is Christmas. And I kind of wanted to combine that. And just a quick aside, we know a local artist, and she has really cute art, and she was a pleasure to work with on other projects. So
Mhm.
we decided, like, I don't know, just
Her art kind of like jived with that theme. It's just something that we could like imagine her little sweet Christmas sweaters.
yeah, I know
And
something that that when you put it together, it can be kind of ugly, but still, be thematic. So that was sort of
Yeah.
the choice
Ugly is
there.
beautiful now. So ugly beautiful is Christmas
Yeah,
sweaters.
yeah,
I
they're
have
cute. They're
yeah,
cute.
they're cute.
I mean, I didn't want to make them too
super
ugly,
cute.
but
Ugly.
yeah.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
go all the way, just super ugly. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one
Yeah.
or the other. So yeah.
Yeah. And this works with how many players?
So it's 2 to 4.
Mm,
I like it at all counts. We play a lot of games together, Kim and I.
yes.
So we really focused that this would be a good trick taker at 2 because not a lot of
Yeah.
trick takers play at 2. So we wanted to make
Yes.
sure that this was a fun game at 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
'Cause
like this at 2 players probably the most. So.
Hmm.
that's awesome. That's pretty hard to do because I play a lot of trick-taking games, and not a lot of them work with two, and even with three. Like you have to have a four component. So
Yeah,
I'd be
yeah. It
interested
feels a
in
lot.
seeing how,
Sorry.
yeah, this plays.
Yeah, they feel like I mean, they feel the same but different because I mean, when you'll see the game, but it
Yeah.
plays probably you have a lot more control at 2 players when it's mixing with the
Mm,
drafting and the tableau building. At
yes.
4, it's a little bit more feels more like a trick taker at heart.
Yeah, you feel like the losses more at 4 players than you
Mhm.
do at 2. Like I find the 2 player games a little bit more forgiving, or sometimes you can kind of like, even though you have a bad hand, you can pull through that win unexpectedly, where I don't feel like that happens as much at 4. But
Yeah, with the 2
yeah.
drafting, it's a bit more forgivable, but you'll kind of see what we're talking about because in the 2 player version, you're playing 2 cards per trick and drafting 2 cards per trick. So you have a bit
Right.
more control as to what you're doing out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Now would be a great chance for us. Can you please teach us how to play the game?
Yes, of course. So Ugly Christmas Sweaters is trick taking, card drafting, set collection, and tableau building. So what you're trying to do is get the most victory points, like many games. So how you're going to do that is basically the theme here is that you're the family knitter and you're knitting sweaters for everyone come Christmas to be the best outfitted on the block. And how you're going to do that is you're going to be building sweaters. Now for
Mm,
this version, for this teach, I'm going to just have them pull. You know what? We can just do it here. So how you're going to build sweaters is we'll just do a little unite here.
Ooh. That's a very bad choice.
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
What
so
you're
you
gonna
have a,
do? You're gonna do a
Cute.
left, a right, and a bottom.
Yeah.
And they can probably show it there too.
Yeah.
But you're
Yeah.
gonna combine sweaters. Yeah, using a left, a right, and a bottom sweater. any will do as long as you know you're making a sweater there. So if you want to combine
The
a
12,
left,
So the
11,
red,
and
the red
three.
bottom.
Oh, there's, yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah,
then
the
shift
free is
that
the bottom,
3.
right? Key?
Just
Yeah,
put a bottom on
yeah,
the,
shift that
Yeah.
3 down to the
The
bottom
three
there.
is the bottom. Number 3.
the red.
The red
The
3,
red.
yeah.
Yes.
You can shift it down there. Perfect.
Yeah, you got a
So
sweater.
there, so you built a sweater. Okay, so that's how you build sweaters, is you're combining left, right, and a bottom.
Yeah.
So how you're going to get those pieces, you can clear that now. So how you're going to get those pieces is through a draft. So you see the draft up there. It's in the middle there, the 2, I think the 8, so showing it right there. So that's the draft pile. So how you're going to draft in a 2-player game is players are going to draft 2 cards per trick. And then in a 3 and 4 player, everyone just drafts 1 card per trick, but it always remains 4, the draft pool.
And you're basically gonna play tricks to determine your draft order.
Yeah, so you said you know trick taking, but for those who may be watching that don't, basically like just playing a card or cards and comparing the strengths, and there's a bunch of rules generally involved with that. It's like war, but
more complicated war.
Yes, yes.
So
it's quite hard.
That's how I like to explain it to people that haven't played trick takers. It's like
even trick is hard. What does trick mean?
Yeah. So so you see the 1, 2, 3, 4 at the bottom there. That's those are going to be draft order cards. So maybe if we can clear the scoring pad there and those and the cards off to the special cards there. Yeah, perfect. So if we can pull down
you can get
rid of the express
round tracker
too.
That's just right there.
That's a variant. So we'll leave those for more expert players. So basically, if we just want to pull some cards out of the hands here,
or just turn up 2 hands.
Turn up a couple cards. If you guys just want to play. So basically, how you're going to play, if in a 2-player game and the games, everyone's going to get a hand of 9 cards. So then you're going to have a little. So make sure you have 9 cards there.
8,
and then the
9,
other cards
so
are just going to be in a pile beside you. Sorry, that's fine because it's a 2-player game. So it's a 2-player game, so the pile is actually just like both equal amounts pile.
Yeah.
Okay, so then so how you're going to play is we'll just say that Nikki's going first because it's either whoever's the most festive, so wearing the most green and red at the beginning of the game.
Nikki.
Or you can randomize, but that's totally fine. So she's going to play a card. So she plays the 9 of bells there. And so to follow that, you're going to have to either play a purple card or a bells card from your hand. So we'll just.
And of course, so base rules, a higher card would beat that card. So I believe that's a 9 of bells. So if you had a 10 of bells or a 10 that was purple, or a different 11 of bells, those are all things that could.
Yeah, don't worry too much about it because I'm going to explain the trump and stuff, but just throw out some cards so we kind of have something to work with here. Yeah.
So
So that's just you don't build them yet. So they're just in a trick.
Yeah, so you have to, right now you're just playing the trick. So you're just trying to beat her
determine
card.
draft order.
Draft order.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So just please put the 9 out and a 6 out on the table just beside each other. So the 9
each person play another card like a purple or a bells card, or if you can't follow that, any card you want. Because each player is going to play 2.
Yeah, so you'd have to play a purple or a bells card to follow that.
Yep.
What if you don't have a bells card and a purple card?
Then you can play whatever you want.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Yes. Yeah, so we're each going to put 2 cards out. So, sorry guys, we don't have to do high strategy quite yet. So just throw out a card that's either, since Nikki led a purple, just throw out another bells or purple card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I see, Nikki, you have an 11 and a 4. Okay.
Okay, perfect. So let's just compare those. Okay, so just base rules. So the 11 would take it. And then the 10 would be second. So you can put the draft cards, order cards there.
So the 11 is first, 10 is second?
Go to the 11. Yeah. And then second would go to the 10. And then third would go to the 9 and fourth to the 4. So that's just the base, how you'd play it without anything else. But there's also, it being a trick-taking game, if you look at the top of above the draft order pile, there are cards called Trendy Yarn and Perfect Fit. So at the top there, Trendy Yarn and Perfect Fit. So Trendy Yarn is going to be, those are flipped over at the start of every round. So this round, the Trendy Yarn or Trump is going to be purple. So that means any card that's purple is going to be higher than, and even if it's a 1 that's purple, it'll beat a 12 that's yellow, or a 12 or 11 or 10 that's green or red. So in this case, with that in mind, we're going to shift the 2 there in the draft order of the trick you guys played to where the 3 is. And then, sorry, where the 9 of bells. Yeah. And then we're going to give the 3 to the 4 of trees.
Yes. And 4 is down.
The 4 would go to the 10. Now, now the next one is the Perfect Fit. So Perfect Fit is sort of a super trump. So any 1 that you play this round can beat anything, any sort of trump, any number. So 1s are the highest. 1s are better than 12, and they're better than all trump. Now, if you get a purple 1, that's the highest.
1 purple is the highest
right now. But say if there was a red 1 out where that yellow 10 is, then that would get first in the draft order. But anyway, that's just so we know. So now that we know that, we'll go to just drafting. So now that you've played your tricks, so Nikki's going 1, 2, and Lincoln's drafting 3, 4. So you're not going to draft those cards. You're going to draft the cards just above them in the draft pile.
Yeah. So we're choosing from the sweaters now.
Yeah. So just pick whatever you want for now. No, so those are going down in the tableau. They're not going back in your hand. So you put them in a tableau just beside you, like in an area. Yep. And then just pick another one. Sure. So when you're drafting and placing a card, so that you're knitting a sweater now. So as soon as you draft, when you place it in a tableau area like that, you started knitting the sweater. So you can actually shift that 4 to be, So it's your choice at that point to either put those 2 together or make them separate. So that's going to matter because, and then Lincoln can grab his 2 cards too. So basically this doesn't work the same as a general trick-taking game. So you're racing to 3 sweaters. So as soon as someone's built 3 sweaters, the round is going to end. I mean, not instantly end, but everyone's going to get to draft, build the rest of their sweaters, and then score. So scoring is going to look like so. If I can just show you
I could probably put a scorecard.
Or you can put a scorecard up. Yep.
So our budget green screen.
If you want to put a scorecard up there.
Yeah.
So scoring looks like that. So at the end of a round, each sweater built is going to get you 2 victory points. If you can manage, you see the numbers, obviously with the trick taking, if you can build one with consecutive numbers like 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, what have you, it'll get you an extra 2 victory points for that sweater. And then now we'll go to fad. So if you want to grab the fad card from the top of the pile there, we can put that up as well. So that's a little bonus scoring when you're building sweaters, something to keep in mind when you're building your sweaters. Yep, that's perfect. So if you can build an all yellow sweater or regardless of icons, which are the bells, the trees and whatnot, then you get an extra 3 victory points. If you can build a sweater that has all bells, regardless of color, you get an extra victory points because those are in trend right now this season.
And if you get both, build an all yellow and an all bells sweater, then you're just ultra trendy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And keep in mind, you can build, if you can build all 3 yellow sweaters, you can score it as many times as you can, you want. So, so now that that's out of the way, we'll put that one back. And then the scoring card, the next one says all matching non-fad colors and icons. So again, if you can build, say, an all purple sweater or an all trees sweater that round, you'll get an extra 1 point because it's not a fad, but it still looks nice.
Still pretty cool.
Yeah. And then the last one we'll see is a Secret Santa card. So Secret Santa cards are hidden objectives. So each player is going to get one at the beginning of the round, and you can just grab one and turn it up and show us. So there you have Uncle Phil's Christmas sweater. So Uncle Phil
Okay.
wants. We're good there. Perfect. Thank you.
Looking
so
good,
Uncle Phil
Uncle
wants
Phil.
at least 2 purple and 1 tree. So if you can make a sweater that has 2 purple pieces and 1 tree piece, regardless of icon, like
they don't have to be laid out like the example. Like
yeah.
But
So,
they can't
okay.
combine either.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be exactly that, but as long as it, as long
Has
as it meets
pieces
the
of
2
it.
purple and 1 tree,
Right.
then you're good to go.
Right.
So that's scoring. Yeah.
So the card is pretty
there's
cool.
just
They're actually double purpose. They're both what you play with and what you build the tableau with. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So that's what you're going to find in the game is you're going to be playing cards from your hand into the trick, but those you are in control of what gets on the table and what you can draft and build the sweaters out of.
Right.
So you're not going to play all your cards because it's a race to 3. So you got to be wary of what you can get out there, or maybe what you don't want to be out there for other people.
Right.
But it's also maybe sacrificing putting stuff out there because it's a strong card to win a trick. So you kind of have to think about all those things while you're building. So in this case, Nikki might want to not build those 2 together. She might want to just start them being both separate sweaters. Yeah,
because you want to be trendy.
You can build as many sweaters as you want. But you got to keep in mind that it's still a race. So, and the one thing that you can do later on is although you can't move sweaters as soon as you place them, you can put a sweater piece over another one. If it's more optimal, it's going to score you more points.
You mean on top of the card?
Yeah. So say, exactly what Nikki's doing. So say she had a bunch of green trees attached to that one, and she said, you know what, I just drafted this one. This one's going to give me an all green or an all trees bonus. I'll put it over that. Or yes, the Secret Santa bonus. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've seen how to draft and kind of how to make the sweater, so what's going to happen now is Nikki is going to take the first draft order card. So she's going to lead next draft. All those cards that they played the trick with are going to shift up into the draft pool. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you have to be careful what you play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome.
So now,
yeah.
So you have a lot more control of what goes out there when you're playing 2-player because you're putting 2 and drafting 2. But so one thing that I always forget, and Kim just reminded me, is the patch card. So if I don't know if you guys have one of those in your hands or not, or if you can pull one out of the deck.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go. So we can throw that up. So the patch card is a bit of a wild card. So it always keeps its color, but it can be any icon you want it to be. So it can be in basically any trick you want it to be. Now, what happens when you play a patch card is it copies the number and the icon of the last card played. Basically, it copies a card, the previous card played, and you'd want to do that because, whatever value is played after in a trick is, so if it was a 10 and you played a 10 after that, then that 10 is winning at this point.
Yeah.
Now, if you put that 10 back in the draft pile, at this point, I mean, it wouldn't be very optimal to play it, but if you do lead with the patch, then you can copy anything in the draft pile. So if there's a perfect fit in there, then you get to copy anything else as opposed to copying the last card played in a trick later on.
And then when you go to build with the patch,
Sorry. How many patch cards are there?
4, one per color. So there's 4 colors or suits.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you go to build with the patch, it's just basically a wild card. It keeps its color. So that example red sweater that started to be built there, if you were to put the patch on that, then you'd have an all red.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And that's 1 point, I remember. That'll be like a point in VP. Yes. Right. It's very tactical because then you're like, what am I going to play? But also I have to think about what I'm putting down, which is, a bit trickier than some of the trick-taking games I've played.
Yeah, that's part of the crux of it is. And we wanted to make sure that it flowed evenly between trick-taking, drafting, and the sort of tableau building.
Yeah. And I noticed at the back of the cards is actually yarns. Is that why it looks like that? Like it's
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it can be like kind of thinky, like you can play it kind of thinking about what you're playing out of your hand and what's going to come up next. But it's also simple enough that like we play it with our 10-year-old daughter, and like you can kind of play down to that level too, where she can still play the game effectively. Maybe not as like with the crazy next level of what's coming.
Oh yeah, you can really tank on it if you want to kind of like think a bunch of steps ahead, or you can just like forego that and just play some cards and see what happens with the kids. But yeah,
because they'd be happy just building the sweater.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And if we wanted this game, where would we find it? Where would we find ugly sweaters?
So right now we did a very small print run. We did a print run 1,500. So right now we have our website, which is henhousegames.ca. You can order it off of there. I do know that one of the local game stores, the bigger game stores that around us, Board Game Bliss, I know a good amount of people know about it. It's in Scarborough in Canada, but you can order it from there. They'll be getting it soon.
If you happen to be in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada, then you can go down to our local game store and grab it.
Awesome.
Either our website or Board Game Bliss is probably your best bet if you don't live in Peterborough.
Right. I'm sad. I live in Australia. How do I get this in Australia?
So we are doing Spiel Digital, and we're going to try and figure out a more. We for the Kickstarter, we did fulfillment in Germany, so we might have something going there to work with Spiel Digital. We kind of got to sort it out, but we did a lot of the fulfillment this weekend, so we're pretty burnt out on it. We shipped a lot of stuff ourselves because it's pretty grassroots, but it's been fun.
Yeah. And do you have another game coming? So just in Spiel Digital, you were saying. So are you just coming out with Ugly Sweater? Are you going to talk about your secret game?
Yeah, I mean, it's secret, kind of secret. It's still, we are with a baby and life, we are not flush in time. Everything else but time. So we will be coming out with this game probably next year Kickstarter at some point, but it's a trick taker. It's sort of the same idea where we're trying to fit other mechanisms in with it, so it's not solely a trick taker. It kind of blends with other mechanisms, and we're calling it Low Res Society. So
low res 80s
tapes.
It's kind of like 2047. You're VHS snobs that are collecting and drafting and trick taking.
But definitely with some new stuff added in.
Cool.
It plays very different than this one, but there's fast forward and rewinds and all that.
That sounds very cool. But so thank you so much for talking about your ugly sweaters, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks so much for having us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for
demoing too. I appreciate it.
No worries. Bye.